Okay guys, welcome back. So this is part 2, and we spent so long looking at books that I decided that we can move on. So let's do that. Sorry, by the way. I just thought about this. Sorry, Raymond, if I just gave you a whole lot more things that you have to write up. Sorry. I apologize, like seriously I do, but in terms of a Let's Play, which is what I have to think of this as, I'd like to get a little bit more done today. That is a handrail. That is a handrail, Junpei. I like how this library is shaped, by the way. It's like one side of it's larger than the other. In terms of a room style, it's quite interesting. So let's go down here now. No, that is a handrail, Junpei. So we got a lot of books down here. More books. What is this? I think we set books up on here and maybe install the light bulbs in. There are 3 lights in this thing. They aren't very bright, though. Hey, didn't we find some kind of really powerful light bulb earlier? Why don't you put it in one of those lights? Yeah. Well, it'll get a lot brighter, but if there are 3 lights, that means 3 light bulbs. There won't be much point unless we can replace all 3 bulbs, so we probably gotta go find another one. And what is that? There are dim lights on the floor. The dim lights are set at 3 points across the floor. The small enclosure with 9 sides. There are 3 of these things that look kind of like music stands, probably for placing the books. Hey Junpei, maybe you think you're supposed to put those pop-up books on the stands? Then you could open them up. But we probably need 3 pop-up books before we can do that. If they do that, they make a shadow on the bottom there. True, but there are 3 stands, right? We don't have enough picture books. In other words, we need 3 picture books. Okay. So we're still on the look for more of them. So it looks like we're looking for more books. There are books here in all sorts of languages. But there's something suspicious about the shelf on the left. Does that mean this one over here? Okay, let's click this one over here. So some sort of combination. In the middle of the glass door is a cylinder lock. You know, the kind of lock where you rotate the numbers around until you've got the right ones to open it. What is this? It's a cylinder lock. It's like they just gave us the answer. Guess I might as well give it a shot. Oh, okay. Three. I rotated that the wrong way. Wait. Oh, okay. Wait, what? Am I doing this wrong? Okay, that was weird. Sorry. Never mind. Ignore me. If you click it at different places, it skips. If that makes sense. It's kind of weird. Okay, 4, 1, and 5. That's kind of odd. Why would they give us the code like that? You did it, Junpei! Yay! I don't know why, but I don't really feel particularly happy about being praised for that. It was kind of easy. Whatever. At least the lock's open now. Let's see if we can get it open, alright? Cool, so we got another light bulb. Now let's check out those books. All 6 books seem to be pointing at the cylinder number lock. That almost seems too easy, like maybe there's a second part to that puzzle? I'm not sure. We didn't get the lock in our inventory, so it's not like we can use it. So let's install the light bulbs. Alright, so there are 3 lights in here. I'm going to change these bulbs. Now they should. Whoa! Those light bulbs really make a difference. It's pretty bright in here now. Good. Now, is that a door? The iron plate is bolted down. I don't think it's a door. I think it's just a wall. Okay. So, let's look to the left some. Let's see what we've got here. So many books here. I wonder what this one... Whoa! What's this? Warm... Oh! Sorry. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hey, what's the deal with the sappy stuff? What's this? Origin of Japanese folklore? Looks like there are a bunch of books about Japanese culture here. Mostly ones about folklore, though. Well, folklore can cover a wide range of subjects. History, urban life, religious trends, environmental changes, oral traditions. Folklore can cover all of those things, if you know where to look. This looks pretty deep. Agricultural and historical organizations and folklore. So maybe this one has to do with folklore. Hey, there's another one of those picture books here. Something about these things feels kinda nice, you know? Brings back good memories. I guess even people like Seven were kids once. No, you little brat. Hey guys, cool it. Alright, I think I'm gonna take this picture book with me. So, let's search it. It's got a magic wand in it. Okay, so what's inside? Well, aren't you gonna open it? Pretty sure it's just gonna have pages inside. Smart. Whoa! Sifivy. I'm sure they line up in a special way. Except we already looked at that. Modern Japanese literature, huh? Or maybe it's just about Japanese, I don't know. Now, I know we have everything to do that one puzzle, but let's just continue looking around the room. Because I'd like to get all this book stuff out of the way. That's a weird book, Junpei. Indian mathematics. Huh, that's funny. Why is that funny? This one's called Gold Box Conjecture? Conjecture? What's it about? Like magic or psychic stuff or something? Right, I bet it's about jewelry, isn't it? You have no idea. It may have an odd title, but it's actually a very respectable mathematics book. It deals with one of the unsolved problems of additive number theory. Sorry I said anything. Look, let's just not get into this right now, okay? It says, Riemann hypothesis. What is there to hypothesize about with a Riemann? Isn't it pretty straightforward? Heavens no, there are many factors. Length, girth, lubrication, or lack of. It's an exciting and rapidly growing field. Whoa. Okay. Algebraic number theory. Math, huh? There's another one like that over here. You mean something like primary number theory, or analytical number theory, or geometry? Oh my gosh, how did you know? Nobody said anything about those. Well, number theory is usually split into 4 chief disciplines. If there was a book named Algebraic Number Theory, I took a wild guess that the other 3 would be there as well. Looks like I was right. He looks so satisfied, doesn't he? The Pythagorean Theorem. This is a famous one. Sounds like there are a number of math books in the section. There are quite a number. Now what is this? Dadkind? What the heck is this? Dadkind? Wasn't that a German mathematician? Maybe it's a compilation of his work. I guess. Owen, huh? Owen isn't enough to go on. Perhaps it's about the English Revolutionary? Les Burns. This book is in German. It looks like it's the complete works of something. I've never heard of it. Well, if Snake doesn't know what it is, I don't think we'll ever know. Snake is rather knowledgeable. Sheldrake. Oh, okay. Now we've heard of Sheldrake. We know about Sheldrake. Sheldrake. Isn't Sheldrake... No. Sheldrake. What was Sheldrake? Sheldrake was the guy that came up with morphogenic field, I think? Or at least a field that can't be seen by the eye? I think is what it was. I think. Unless I've done that wrong. I mean, not by done, I mean thought of it wrong. Now, we've already seen that, so I think we're almost done with the books. In fact, we may actually be done. In fact, we are. Okay, cool. Unless... No, it doesn't matter. Okay, never mind. So let's put the picture books in. It's a small enclosure with 9 sides. There are 3 of these things that look kind of like music stands. Okay, how about we try putting these picture books on the stands? Then... Sheldrake 5. Awesome! It looks like it worked! Way to go, Junpei. Oh, maybe we need to pull out the 5th Sheldrake book. Good job, buddy. There's something projecting on the bottom. These letters, they seem familiar. Sheldrake 5. Sheldrake. Junpei read the text out loud. I think I saw the rest of this collection somewhere. Yeah, I think it was somewhere around here. Let's go take a look. Okay. Seven and Clover walked off, leaving Junpei and Snake behind. Have you heard of him? Sheldrake, I mean. Junpei grinned. Yeah. Lotus told me about him. There's a British biochemist named Sheldrake. He had a rather interesting theory. The theory of morphogenic fields. Okay, so he did actually have the theory of morphogenic fields, which relies on the theory of morphic resonance. Really? From Lotus, huh? Well, Clover also said something to me about that stuff. She did? Yeah, what was it? The ability to access morphogenic field... Oh, sorry. The ability to access morphogenic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. That girl. I told her not to tell anyone. You did? Why? Junpei's eyes narrowed. Look, man, I didn't push it because we're in a hurry, but I'm kind of sick of this. How about you just tell me, okay? Tell you what? Don't give me that. About the experiment. Snake's shoulders slumped, and he shook his head slowly. He'd finally given up. Very well. Fine. I'll tell you everything. But not here. Let's move to the top floor. Junpei nodded. With that, they climbed the stairs to the top floor. Snake was silent for a moment after they arrived, then finally crossed his arms and spoke. I suppose I might as well start by telling you why I kept quiet, and why I made sure Clover did as well. To be honest, the explanation is quite simple. Zero told me not to. I had little choice. He didn't walk up and tell me, of course. He gave me a message engraved on a card. Snake reached into his sleeve and pulled out a small, stiff piece of paper. It looked a good deal like the one he'd shown everyone in the central staircase. Is it in fact? So you had 2 cards? No, only one. I knew it. So it had extra information that Snake didn't disclose, and I figured it probably would. Huh? What do you mean? I thought that card had just some rules for the nonary game on it. Yes, it did. And those are the rules I read you. However, they were not the only thing on the card. There was something I didn't read. Well, perhaps I should say, there was something I couldn't read. And that was... Tell no one of the events that took place 9 years ago. Tell and I activate your sister's detonator. Isn't that like really bad? Oh, Snake nodded. Well, what about Clover? Did she get a message from Zero too? I don't believe she did. But doesn't it strike you as strange that Zero would shut my mouth, but not hers? Yeah, that does seem a little weird. To be on the safe side, however, I told her it was best not to tell anyone. Still, apparently she told you. That girl. What's wrong with her telling me? I figured some stuff out with the things she told me. I mean, it looks like the whole activator-detonator thing was just a bluff. She's prancing around downstairs, happy as a clam now that you're back. Snake glanced down at Clover and Seven, examining one of the bookshelves. That's very true. I've decided I can trust you. I've decided to tell you the truth. The chance that Santa is 0 is very high. I feel I can assume Santa doesn't have the time to observe us at the moment. And at any rate, even if he were, I very much doubt he would kill us. Why not? Clover told me about the 4-leaf clover, about the words. If he knew about that, then he was in my group during the first experiment. I'm sure of it. He wouldn't kill us. No matter what the situation was. Snake paused and cocked his head, as though he were listening to something very far away. His face looked dark, as though something was weighing on him. Hey, Snake? Junpei wasn't quite sure what to say. Snake turned and looked at him. Yes, I know. You want to know what happened during the experiment? Yeah. How much do you know? Junpei relayed to Snake everything Clover had told him. The morphogenic field in the experiments 9 years prior to that had dealt with it. How the experiment had taken place simultaneously at 2 locations, one being the ship and the other being a building in Nevada. How they played the nonary game. He told him everything. And finally, he told him how a girl had died during the experiment. Oh, she told you all that, did she? Snake looked down. His face was tight. A slight shimmer took his body, and he tried to hide it. He was putting on a good front, but even Junpei could tell that he was holding back something deep and powerful. He made as if to brush something from his face, and looked up at Junpei. At any rate, I now know how much you've learned. All that remains is for us to determine is who did this and why, right? Yes. Can you tell me what happened? Snake nodded slowly. The people who organized the initial experiment were from a company called Cradle Pharmaceutical, which we learned that from the safe. However, having an eyewitness view could be more useful than just a little piece of paper that we found. There were 4 of them running the show. Gintaro Hongu, Nagisa Nagasaki, Teruaki Kubota, Kajichika Hongu is the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical. Nijisaki was his right-hand man and did the lion's share of the planning. Kubota led the company Research and Development Division. Musha Shido was the majority stockholder. It was these 4 people who planned the initial experiment. Let me simplify it for you. Hongu designed it, and Nijisaki put it all together. Kubota developed the technology required, and Musha Shido provided the cash. So it's Hongu, Nijisaki, Kubota, Musashido. Can we stop saying their names? Junpei couldn't shake the sense that he had heard those 4 names before. Seems interesting. Of course, more than 4 people were required to conduct an experiment of the scale. To that end, they organized a top-secret team to assist him with their research. All in all, they gathered 10 people or so. Those 10 completed their team, and they were able to begin the project. They named it the Nonary Project. The purpose of the experiment was to research the prospect of controlling a human mind through sheer will. The vessel, I suppose you could say, for this control was the morphogenic field. Why did the glycerin suddenly begin to crystallize? Why did the crystal structure of EDT undergo a sudden change? Why did the rats improve their puzzle-solving skills with each generation? Experiments with humans produce the same results. The more people who knew the answer to a question, the more people there were who could answer correctly, without having seen the problem before. Why? How? The answer is that the shape of the answer... The answer is that the shape of the answer has been stored in a field invisible to the naked eye. And through that field, the resonant event transmits information related to that answer. That's essentially the idea behind morphogenic fields. But that's just a theory. Can't bring yourself to believe it? Not really. Let's say that someone killed another person because the devil told them to do it. Whether the devil exists or not has no relevance to the murderer. They believe the devil exists. Whether or not he does is immaterial. So what matters here is that Hongu believed in the morphogenic field. Snake nodded. But I still don't get it. You said they wanted to figure out how to control people. Right? That is what you were saying. Yes. So, how are they going to do that with a morphogenic field? I'll keep it simple. Let's suppose 10,000 people have solved a certain problem. The chance of you knowing that answer, even if no one has told you, will go up. Let's have another example, shall we? Say 1,000,000 people were to do a handstand right now. Tomorrow, the chances of you doing a handstand would be higher, even if you had heard nothing of this hypothetical mass handstanding. Mankind's thought process and actions are all part of a resonant event. All of the resonant events encoded in the fields are projected onto you. Of course, this assumes you believe in this theory. Do you follow so far? Yeah? But let's say, hypothetically, that there was a person who had the same effect as those millions of people. What would happen? I guess you could control the world, theoretically. If that one person were to do a handstand, other people would find themselves wanting to do handstands as well. Can you imagine what a person with powers like that would be able to do? Come on, there's no way. I'm not done. Imagine another scenario. Imagine another person. This is an ordinary person. Let's say he does a handstand. What if there was someone who could grab the resonant event he created by doing that and use it to make other people do handstands? What would happen then? A person who has the power to write the field and someone who can read from the same. You could think of them as the writer and the reader, or the transmitter and the receiver. What would the world be like if there were people with abilities like these? I guess instant communication as well, I guess? Junpei thought about it for a moment. So the transmitter's resonant event can be transmitted through the field and sent to the receiver. And then the transmitter can control the receiver however they wish. That's what you're saying, right? Yes, close enough at least. Come on, that's just crazy. Well, if you want to prove that, then you'll have to test it first. At least, that was how they thought. That was why they decided to do their experiment. That was how the Nonary project began. Snake suddenly looked very serious. Junpei, have you ever heard of the Gansfeld experiment? Junpei nodded. Yeah, that was an experiment in telepathy, right? They put a pair of subjects in separate rooms. Then they'd show one of them a picture and ask the other what they saw. Interesting. I'm impressed. Yes, that is exactly correct. So, why'd you bring up the Gansfeld experiment? It was used to screen subjects for the Nonary project. The hospital in a remote town was affiliated with Cradle Pharmaceutical. Hongu used it to conduct experiments on visiting children in secret. Some of them he found had potential. He began to gather children that showed promise, children that seemed as though they might be able to access the field. Of course, none of them volunteered. They were kidnapped. His face barely moved as he spoke. There were 9 pairs of siblings taken, for 18 children total. For reasons that were not fully understood at the time, each pair had 1 transmitter and 1 receiver. They were split perfectly. As such, the 18 children were split into 2 groups of 9. The children who were put in Group Q were the ones who excelled at transmitting. They were transferred to the mock experiment building known as Building Q in the Nevada desert. The children who excelled at receiving were put in Group A. The members of Group A were put on the formal hospital ship Gigantic. From the experiments he had conducted so far, Hungu had learned the following. There are 2 things that can increase one's resonance with the fields. The first is epiphany. The other is danger, which we're familiar with. Have you ever been faced with an especially difficult problem and thought about it very hard and long until you finally had an answer suddenly appear in your mind? It may seem obvious to say so, but that is what is meant by epiphany. The information obtained through that epiphany can be easily transmitted through the fields, where it can be easily interpreted. Adding danger to that equation allows for an even easier field access. Therefore, Hongu set up a number of puzzles across the Gigantic. The participants had to solve each puzzle before they could move to the next room. Of course, he hadn't forgotten to include danger. More specifically, he had detonated a bomb in the hull of the Gigantic. The children in Group A were forced to play the Nonary game as the ship sunk. By forcing the children into a life or death situation, Hongu hoped to increase the likelihood of tapping into the fields. The children from Group Q, on the other hand, were confined to the mock building. Building Q. Building Q duplicated the interior and the puzzles of the Gigantic exactly. Hongu explained the situation to the children in Group Q. Solve the puzzles you find throughout the rooms. When you solve them, transmit that information to the children in Group A. If you succeed, they will be able to solve the puzzles and escape. But if you fail, then the Gigantic will sink, and your brothers and sisters will drown. Do you know why the astronauts of Apollo 13 were able to return to Earth safely? It was because NASA had access to a replica of the Apollo 13 capsule. All of the equipment, the instruments, everything, all of it identical. NASA was able to replicate the situation the astronauts were facing. By putting themselves in the same situation, they attempted to solve the problems they knew the astronauts were facing. Once they'd found the solutions, they reported their findings to the men aboard the actual capsule. That was how they were able to return safely. It was the same with the Gigantic and Building Q. The children from Group Q had to use the power of epiphany to solve the puzzles they found, and transmit what they learned through the fields. The children in Group A, however, had access to the fields to learn how they might advance to the next stage. That is the simplest explanation I can manage. Snake sounded defeated. His half-hearted attempt at derision served only to show how much the story had affected him. Just as Junpei was about to speak... Hey! Junpei! Snake! How much longer are you two gonna sit around on those butts? Get down here already! Seven's voice echoed up from below. Snake took a deep breath and blinked rapidly, as if just waking up from a long nap. He's right. Let's go, shall we? We don't have much time. We need to get out of here and soon. Snake headed for the stairs, but Junpei pulled out an arm to stop him. Hold it.
Hold it!
There's one more thing I want to ask you. Are you sure that there were 18 kids? Why? Well, I thought it was only 16. Oh, yes. That's what they said on the news, wasn't it? Yes, I have no doubt that 18 children were abducted and used in Hongu's experiment. After all, you couldn't exactly play an honorary game with any less, could you? Well, yeah, but... Are you saying that the news got it wrong? No, I think that the one kid died and maybe as a result the other kid died? Maybe? Or they killed him or something? Yes, I am. There were 2 more children. However, they had no relatives that I'm aware of. I imagine no one filed a police report when they went missing. They were brother and sister, like Clover and I. The brother's name was Oi. The sister's name was... Snake couldn't seem to bring himself to continue. It looked as though he was about to say... What he was about to say brought him great pain. Her name was Akane. What? Wait. Okay, let's just keep going. That was the girl who died. Junpei felt as though he'd been punched in the stomach. His vision went blurry and his head felt light. He couldn't think straight. Everything was blank. Had Akane Kurishiki died 9 years ago? If she had, then who was June? No. That was impossible. It couldn't be true. Akane wasn't an uncommon name. If Snake had known her last name, then that would have been a different matter entirely. So they shared a name. There were many other people who did as well. It meant nothing. It was a different person. Of course it was a different person. It had to be. Silly Junpei jumping to conclusions. Junpei shook his head hard and pulled himself back to reality. Is something wrong, Junpei? Your breathing sounds strange. Then Snake had noticed. Junpei cleared his throat and tried to act calm. Oh no, it's nothing, I'm fine. Let's get back down there, alright? Snake raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He headed down the stairs, Junpei bringing up the rear. Now what does that mean? I mean, it could just be a common name, but still... That's highly suspicious considering that there's an Akane in this game. He couldn't bring himself to ask. He told himself he knew the answer already, but he couldn't bring himself to ask what the girl's last name had been. With every step he took, the cold, hard sound of feet against metal dug at his heart. So that's interesting, isn't it? Their names were Aoi and Akane. What does that mean? I have no idea. I mean, I'm assuming it means suspicious things, but I don't know what it means exactly. But maybe next time we'll figure it out. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I need to go to bed. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!